Hey everyone, I'm so excited to go over the customer avatar canvas and how to complete this because I feel like it's probably the most important, if not the second most important thing that needs to be done before running any sort of Facebook or Google or Instagram advertisement. This customer avatar canvas is going to be the framework for everything that you do. And we do this because we want to clarify who you serve. And as schools and school administrators, you serve parents and you serve the children who attend your schools. We want to clarify what value you deliver, why parents should pick your school over another. And we want to recognize and document the difference between different avatars and personas. You might have different avatars or different target demographics. That's not only, it doesn't always have to be the case where there's just one, especially if you're a school that serves different grades. So we want to be able to recognize and document the difference between those target personas. And this is going to make Facebook ads a lot easier. It's going to make Google ads a lot easier when you know who you're targeting. That just lays the groundwork for everything else. So let's get started. First, we want to clarify the who, and that part one is the customer avatar deep dive. Now, in the resources section, you have this worksheet. I would print it out. You could fill it out on the computer, but I think writing it down, crossing things out, erasing things, making mistakes, writing in the margins, I think that's probably a really good idea for the first couple drafts. And then later on, if you want to print it out and then make a final copy, or if you want to do the final copy online, that's fine. But I would highly suggest that you print out a couple copies of this first, so you can just do a brain dump of everything on here without having to worry about making it neat and things like that. So this is the customer avatar, the avatar persona, name, and description. You can make this fun, or you can just do, student Susie or Patty parent. It doesn't have to be the same first initial and descriptor, but it just kind of makes things a lot easier. So avatar, persona, name, and description. We give these people a name to humanize the demographic. We're not just saying this person does this for work and they live in this town and they live in this, they make this much money. These people are humans. They're your students. They're your students' parents. And we want to make sure that they're treated as such, even on these worksheets. So give your avatar or persona a name and description, dedicated dad, or, anything that you want to come up with, and go ahead and write that in the avatar persona box. Hey, quick edit. I forgot to mention, although I'm sure you guys have figured it out already, when you're doing the avatar persona name and description, I gave the example dedicated dad. If you're going to do that, for example, then make sure this customer avatar canvas, make sure all of these things are relevant to that dedicated dad. Don't name it dedicated dad and then put, they're a single mom. If you're going to do dedicated dad or parent Patty or single mom Sarah, then make sure that your avatar canvas is specifically geared towards who they are, what their frustrations and fears are, their wants and aspirations. It's specifically geared towards that demographic. Dedicated dad is single, he's hardworking, he doesn't have any help. So make sure that you add all of those things in the frustrations and fears and in the wants and aspirations. Don't combine them. That's one of the reasons why we might have multiple customer avatar canvases, because, dedicated dad is not a single mom. He's not, a stay-at-home mom. Dedicated dad, if you're doing that, is, like I said, the single dad who takes care of his kids. Make sure all of, the average day, the status, the frustrations and fears, the key purchase drivers are for him specifically. If you have a couple, if you want to do, stay-at-home mom Susie, make sure the average day, status, demographics, frustrations and fears, wants and aspirations are for her. Step into the shoes of dedicated dad or stay-at-home mom Sarah, but just make sure that the sheet is for that one person. Don't combine. And that's the reason why we might have multiple avatar canvases. I hope that makes sense. I forgot to mention it in the video, so this was a quick edit, but thanks. So customer avatar number 1, the demographics and interests, frustrations and fears, wants and aspirations, key purchase drivers. This sheet is also in the worksheets section of the course. So again, print this out just so you can write down everything. If you have a group of other teachers, administrative staff, and you guys want to do this together, just write this on a whiteboard in a break room or an office. Write this on a whiteboard and then do it together and then copy it down later. So step 1, demographics and interests. This should take you about 5 minutes. Don't worry about the time. It might take longer, it might take shorter, but spend about 5 minutes. And then step 1, demographics and interest. What is your target demographic age? What is their occupation? What is their income and education level? Are they married or are they a single parent? And what age are you targeting? Are you targeting kindergarten age students? Or, are you right now targeting toddlers because you have a long wait list? So, it's going to take a year or two before they can be admitted. What location are they in? What books, magazines, and blogs do they read? What events and conferences do they attend? And what brands and influencers do they actively follow and engage with? So take about 5 minutes, write all that down. There's some sticky notes here because a lot of times when we do this on a whiteboard with a group of people or coworkers, everybody will write their ideas down on a sticky note, pass it to the front, and then whoever's leading this effort will put all of those up on the whiteboard, and then you guys can go over them later and remove whatever ones are not relevant. So go ahead and do that. Step 2, frustrations and fears. Again, this should take about 5 minutes. Don't spend too much time on it initially. Chances are we're going to have to do this a couple times. So take your time, but don't spend too much time on this section. Just get down whatever's in your brain. Step 2, frustrations and fears. What keeps your target demographic up at night? These parents, what keeps them up at night? Is it not being able to get them into a good school? Is it the cost? Find out what keeps these parents up at night. Find out what annoys and frustrates them. What challenges do they face on a daily basis, both big and small? Is it work? Is it childcare? Is anybody going through health issues? Find out what challenges they face. Find out who or what is standing in their way of their success or their child's success and happiness. Find out what are some key systems in their life or job that frequently fail. Are they single parents? Do they not have reliable transportation? Find out what's something that they're forced to interact with that's difficult to manage or understand. And then find out what features or lack of features do they regularly complain about in related products or services. Do you offer something that another school in your area does not offer? Find out these things. And a lot of times you might have to survey your current students or your current parents to find out what are some of these frustrations and fears, because, a lot of times we just don't know. So if you can send out an email survey or make a couple phone calls and say, hey, I'm working on some new marketing. I'd like to ask you a couple questions if you wouldn't mind helping me. And then, go through the list and find out what they feel comfortable sharing. So after that's finished, again, if you're doing this up on a whiteboard, you can write it down or have everybody pass in their sticky notes and then put them up under the frustrations and fears section. Step 3, wants and aspirations. And chances are these are wants and aspirations, both for themselves and their children. So what do they want for themselves? What do they want for the people around them? What do they want for their children who will be attending your school? What do they aspire to be, or what do they hope that their children aspire to be? And what goals have they set for themselves or their children? What values do they hold dear? And we'll get into the core values later on. This is really important. And then what are their secret desires? Again, chances are you might not know a lot of these things right off the bat, but make a couple phone calls, send out some email surveys, have some parents come in maybe for an hour and host a roundtable, and then all of you guys can discuss these things and just have a talk. So that's step 3. And then if you're doing this up on a whiteboard, have everyone pass in their sticky notes and put them under the wants and aspirations section. Step 4, key purchase drivers. Goes here. Step 4, must-have features. What are the must-haves that these parents feel that your school needs to have in order for them to enroll their child? What is the expectation of service? What are some of the price or budget considerations? What are the quality expectations? Are there any well-known deal killers or deal breakers? What are some common objections that must be overcome in order for these parents to say yes and enroll their children, or even sign up and show up for a tour? I know that's a big issue too, is that, getting parents to not only sign up, but they sign up and then they just don't show up for a tour. So what are some objections that must be overcome in order to close that gap of getting people to actually show up for these in-person tours? And are there any additional stakeholders or decision makers? Is there a dad that needs to be considered? Or is there a mom that needs to be considered? Or are there grandparents that need to be considered? Or is it just a single parent or single grandparent or single guardian that's making the decision? Is there anybody additional that needs to be taken into account? So that is the last section here under key purchase drivers. Step 5, kill, combine, and transfer. So as I mentioned, if you are doing this in a group setting and you have it up on a whiteboard and everybody passes in their sticky notes and puts them up, kill any that don't make sense or are not relevant. Combine any like answers. If there are answers that are too similar, or if there's one answer here that's too similar to one answer here, combine those. And then transfer any that don't belong in one section. Maybe there's a frustration and fear that actually belongs in the wants and aspirations, so move that over. So step 5, kill, combine, and transfer. Just organize it and then make sure you put those in your document here under the sections. So part 2 is a before and after grid. And I know I am moving a little bit fast, but I would suggest you guys just watch this video in its entirety and then go back later on and actually do the work. But just watch the video first to get familiar with what needs to be done, and then go through the exercise. You can watch the video a couple times if you need to. But okay, so the before and after grid is here's before. Obviously, here's after. Before. Have, feel, average day, status, and then good versus evil. What do these parents have before speaking with you, or before enrolling in your school, or even before taking a tour? What do they feel? What's their average day look like? What does the status look like? Are they currently interviewing schools? Are they in the beginning stages of interviewing schools? What's their current status? And then good versus evil, what does that look like? And I'll explain that a little bit better. So put those in the before and after. And you might not know, but use your best guess in terms of, how these people feel before and after. Again, like I said, the before, you might need to interview some parents. And if they say, before, I feel overwhelmed with this decision, I don't really know where to send my child. Everybody wants me to go on a tour. I feel just overwhelmed. And then how do you think you could make them feel after? What are some things you could do to make them feel less overwhelmed afterwards, or more calm after? So put the before and afters here. And I'll upload this presentation. You guys can watch this case study if you like. I think it's pretty funny. It's about It's a commercial for a software that we have permission to show this video. It's a commercial for a software that takes photos that you have in your phone and automatically creates photo books for you. So you don't have to worry about, having, thousands of pictures in your phone that you're probably never going to look at or you accidentally erase. But now you have this nice little photo book, and it shows this mom in the tub, and then when you watch the video, it shows her getting out of the tub and she's completely clothed, and she's like, yes, my life is chaos. I don't have time to do this. So Chatbooks, the software, makes it easy for her. It makes her feel less overwhelmed And it kind of takes that off her plate. She doesn't have to worry about these pictures. She doesn't have to worry about what to do with these photo albums. This software does it for her. So it's about a 3-minute, 3.5, 4-minute video. It's pretty funny. So I suggest that you watch it. And it's relevant because it shows her before and then it shows her after using the software. So some examples of this. This is having to do with the video that was in this case study. Before, there's thousands of pictures stuck on the phone. She feels overwhelmed, frustrated, and tired. Average day is chaos, and there's some cute moments here and there. Her status is frazzled. Everyone pities her. And good versus evil, life is just moving too fast, which could be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on how you look at it. And after, have is the magazine of your life. It's this photo book that the software creates. How she feels is accomplished because she now has this physical, tangible thing that came as a result of her having that software. Average day, still chaotic, but cute moments are remembered in this book. Status, scrapbooking supermom after, before she was frazzled. And then good versus evil, she's able to slow life down a little bit. So when you're ready, in the have, what do these parents have before that they don't have after, or vice versa? And these are the features and the benefits. And add that here. Step 2, feel. What is their emotional state like before compared to their emotional state after? And add that in the feel section. 3, average day. What is a day in the life of your customer, your parent, like before receiving the value of your product or service, your school, compared to after? What's a particularly bad day like, and what's their ideal day like? Maybe they're stuck at work, they're stuck in meetings, and they can't get there to pick up their child on time. Maybe that's a particularly bad day. But what can you do, or what does your school contribute to lightening the load a little bit more for some of these parents that feel frazzled and overwhelmed by their life? And then add that in the average day column. Step 4, status. Describe the status of your customer, of your parent, before versus after receiving the value of your product or service of your school. And then change the story someone tells about themselves. So up here you can see the status, changing the story someone tells about themselves. Before, she was a frazzled mom that everyone pities, and now she's a scrapbooking supermom. Maybe she didn't necessarily create that scrapbook, that photo book herself. She didn't go to Michael's and she didn't get all the materials and she didn't do it, but she has a tangible physical item that she can look at, where she didn't have that before because she didn't have time. She was so frazzled. Everyone felt sorry for her. But now she's not. So she's changing that story. She's changing that narrative, that story that she might tell about herself. Step 5, good versus evil. What greater philosophical evil does your product or service allow your customer to defeat? And this is the core belief and purpose. Again, if you look at the example, they use good versus evil. Life is moving too fast. She doesn't have time to print out and create these photo books. But then after, she's able to slow life down a little bit. She's still frazzled, still chaotic, but now she has these moments that she can cherish and she can slow down a little bit, knowing that this software up here in the commercial helps her kind of capture those moments. So that goes in the good versus evil section. And then step 6, same thing, kill, combine, and transfer. Kill any that are not relevant, combine any that are too similar, and then transfer any that might belong in one column but are in another one. So spend a few minutes on that. And then that's it, guys. That's the customer avatar canvas. And this is, like I said in the beginning, the framework for the rest of what we're going to be doing. It's in the top 3 most important documents and most important worksheets that you can complete, or brainstorm sessions that you can complete before you move forward with any kind of advertising. So please, please, please spend the time getting this done, because it's definitely worth it, and it'll definitely help you out in the long run. and do as many of these as you want for as many different customers, different customer avatars you have. If you are serving different grades, create a couple for each grade. If you're offering, after school programs, create a couple for parents who are interested in after school programs. You get the idea. So there's not a one size fits all. You might have more than one grade or product or service, but create a couple different ones, because chances are if you just target one demographic, unless your school is very, very, very specific, if you just target one demographic, you're likely missing out on a ton of other opportunities. So that's the customer avatar canvas. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Thanks.